everybody, it's Amy Graham, Badass Valkyrie, and today I am going to take you through my Dr. Jones. It is quite the chunky monkey. It has turned into a bit of a monster, but I am loving it. And so even though it's pretty thick, it's got some extra things in it right now that I'm kind of wanting to track and that kind of thing. So I will show you that here in a few minutes. It's mostly about self-care, and I used to think that it was vanity or, you know, something that wasn't really important. And for those of you that don't know, I used to weigh over 450 pounds. It's kind of weird thinking about it now, but I don't know how much over 450 pounds that I weighed because I never found a scale that would go higher than that. Yeah. So I will put in, hopefully somewhere in the nether kind of here, if my program works out, pictures so that you can see some comparisons too. Right now, because I'm competing and I have been running and building up muscle, I weigh about anywhere from 220 to 227. Literally, I fluctuate that much, and I can fluctuate that much in a day. But when I'm building muscle, I do that. I do build muscle pretty quickly, actually. I guess carrying that much weight on a 5'9" frame for 40 years will do that to you. I was always a fat kid. I was never a small girl, ever in my life. I'm still not a small girl. When I first started fighting, I was probably the biggest girl fighting in the world. I mean, I was heavier and taller than almost all the women, except for the Belgian fighter, who we always called Brienne of Tarth, because she was just, she was taller than me, and she was literally the first fighter that I ever came across that was larger than me. Everybody else was smaller, and so that was a challenge for me my first year in Spain. But yeah, I had a gastric bypass, a Roux-en-Y, done in April 12th of this year will be my 12-year anniversary. So I am 12 years post-op, and I have kept it off, largely due to being an extreme athlete. But it literally saved my life. When my doctor went in, he found that my liver was 3 times the size that it should have been. And he was a liver transplant specialist. And he was surprised. It was like, whoa, okay. He had to wrestle with the fact that he wasn't sure whether or not at that point he was going to literally crack my chest open or still do it where they do it like the little incisions. So I got to keep the little incisions. I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember that term. But he, when I was in recovery, he came in and talked to me very seriously and said, "This has literally saved your life." And I'm like, well, duh. Hello? He's like, no. Aside from that, weight loss and all of that, you would have needed a liver transplant within 2 years. And you would have never qualified. I mean, I would not have ever been able to get low enough to even be put on the list. So I would have died. So that moment, I decided that no matter what, I would spend the rest of my life celebrating. And that's what I'm doing. So, interestingly enough, though, since that day, I've kind of put my body through hell. There was the initial, oh my God, I mean, I lost 100 pounds in 100 days. And then my skin went crazy. when you drop that kind of weight in that short a period of time, and I was an apple on a stick person, body style. So I had thinner legs. I never had kinkles or anything like that. My legs were always very shapely, even at over 450 pounds. But my middle was, I looked like a candied apple. An apple on a stick is what they call it. And so I carried everything in my midsection. Still do, actually. I have not had a tummy tuck. When I started fighting, I was 5 years post-op, and I had just started considering getting a tummy tuck done and getting my extra skin and everything removed. And then this fighting thing happened, and I couldn't take enough time off to have surgery. I was 46 at the time when I started this, and I am 51 now. I'll be 52 this year. And so that 5 years, I knew, was the only time I had to fight. I could not take 6 to 8 to 12 months off to let my body heal after a major surgery. When you're cutting off, my surgeon said probably 35 to 50 pounds of excess skin and adipose fat that my body has just forgotten that I have. And it's all around my midsection. So the one thing I did learn was that my body did bounce back a little bit after all the extreme training, but it took training every day. And I'm not just talking about, 20 minutes or, an hour. I was training 2 to 4 hours a night. I put myself through adrenal fatigue and trying to keep up. And when you're fighting 22, 23, 24-year-olds and you're pushing 50, that's a lot of work. And which is why this is my last year, if I even make it to that. It has been extremely hard on my body. And I did everything for the sake of the sport. So you do what you got to do, because that window of time is so fleeting, and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's already over. I was talking to my husband last night, and he was like, well, it seems like, you feel like you've peaked. And I'm like, oh, I peaked in 2015. I know that. So I've been looking at, what I'm going to be doing with the rest of my life, and trying to, get past all of that. Those of you who saw my last emotional video, oh good Lord, when I was setting up my B6, yeah, still a little bit of that going on, but I am very comfortable with the fact that I will not be putting my body through hell. Yes, I am training to be a triathlete, and I will do my first triathlon in November. But if I hate it, so what? It only affects me. I am not putting $5,000 into a bike until I know that I love it. I have a hybrid bike out in my garage. That will get me through my first one. I'm not buying a wetsuit. I'm not doing any of the crazy stuff, except, all the training, until I know that I want to do this for sure. But I will always be a runner, and thankfully, knock on wood, at least they are wood, pressed wood maybe, my knees are not bad. I don't have a bad back. I don't have any of that. I'm strong as a freaking ox, even now, but it takes its toll. And, God bless the people. It was so funny because watching the Olympics and all of that, when these amazing athletes are talking about retiring at 25 and at 30, and I'm just like, being washed up at 30, because your body just can't take it anymore. But it occurred to me that, I carried an extra person on my back for 40 years. Literally 40 years. And I got my surgery when I was 40. So it was amazing to feel the difference. And I've always said, when I've given talks to support groups and things like that, if you could bottle what it feels like to get rid of that, nobody would ever be fat again. Ever. I mean, I still struggle, and good Lord, there's not a day go by that I don't want to have a cupcake that's covered in buttercream icing, because cake is just an icing delivery system. And I will always think that. So, I mean, I'm a food addict. I know that. I'm an adrenaline junkie. There's a lot of things, going on in this head. But I, if I could let somebody walk around in my body now that has been carrying an extra 250 pounds, 270 pounds on them, you would be amazed at the difference. And I mean, even in the first month of after my surgery, it made such a huge difference. Now, there was that period of time when my skin had not caught up with how much my body had lost. And I looked old and decrepit and wrinkled, and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? The one thing that, when you're heavy, you don't really have to worry about is skincare, because your face is always like flushed and full and the wrinkles aren't there until you start dropping weight. And then all of a sudden there's sagging and you're like, I would rather be fat. Oh my God, what have I done? And so it took a little time to catch up. And after 40, really hard. But, I look back at my pictures now, and it was just a journey. And you had to go through it to experience what it felt like and to appreciate what you're going on to. And, I've been blessed that I got to fight for 5 years, and now I'm ready to do something else. And this channel is part of that. The planner community is part of that. And I have never felt so amazing and loved and cared for and just by complete strangers, except in fighting. And it's just, I love it. And I'm excited to start doing some new things. And oh my gosh, I have rambled on. I'm like, I'm just going to show you my self-care book. But the whole reason I went into all of that rigmarole is that I have a very hard time taking time for myself. Because, there's always the team, there's always my husband, there's always my office, whatever. Something else always takes my attention. And stopping and spending, like on Sunday, I spent almost 6 hours, as my husband calls it, playing with my books. And it was pure heaven. Heaven. I know all of you out there watching this get that. And I love that. So, other people would be like, oh my gosh, you sat there making plans for 6 hours? Really? Drawing in your little book? Yes, I did. And I loved it. And so, it's a far cry from whacking a, 6'4" guy over the head with a poleaxe, but, it's still fun and exciting, and I enjoy it. And, I mean, I don't get that whole adrenaline rush, but, sometimes I can live without that adrenaline rush, really. I do miss it, and I am very excited about my tournament this weekend, which I'm driving to California for. So, but this will, the self-care thing, we all need to do it. We all need to take more time to do it. One of the things that I do consistently now is going to bed. No matter what, at 11 o'clock, I am in bed. And I'm trying to eventually push that back to 10. But I get home at 6, or I leave work at 5, drive to the gym. Sometimes I don't get home till 6:30. Sometimes I don't get home till 7:30. It depends on how long of a ride I'm doing, how long of a training session I'm doing, whatever. So my husband doesn't get home till 7:30. So 7:30 to 10 is all the time that I get with him. And he works mid shift. So yeah, when I go to bed at 10:30 or 11, he's up until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And so not a lot of time together, but our weekends are ours. And so we spend it together. But, I have to wait for my sleeping giant to wake up usually, but that's when I get all my shopping done. So it's good. But taking time to treat yourself properly and take care of your own body, it takes practice and it takes reminding, and you actually have to plan for it. And that's what this chunky monkey is. So before I go off on another complete tangent, let's flip around and I will take you through my Dr. Jones and my Hobonichi Weeks, which I love. And I've kind of tweaked things in my weeks a little bit. So we will talk about that in just a moment. Okay. Thanks for bearing with me here. I put this in because I am not a topper kind of girl, but I think this is beautiful. So I just kind of tuck it in there with the mandala from Coco Daisy. I could, I guess, cut that off, but I haven't, because I just think it's pretty. I love the colors, and so I just kind of keep it like that. And then if I need this, it's there, but you know, this only just goes in my handbag. So I like a little bit of pretty, and this was really pretty, and I wanted to give it a try because I'm just kind of like, oh, it's a little much, but you know, my charms and the ones that I love. So, and that spoke to me for this particular book. So we will get into it. Oops, he's falling out. So, this is a calendar from Paper Penguin Co. And I write, you know, my March goals in there. And I have just a little piece of, this is my because I'm using a Lamy fountain pen, just my blotter paper. But, you know, I just have it in here for more than just for reference, really. I don't really have a ton of, I don't use this a lot other than, you know, just a couple of things. And if I want to check what my goals are for March, then I have it. I love these inserts. They're gorgeous. And then you have extra notes in the back if you need it. But because I just set this up, you know, I haven't had a lot of time. This is the Personal Enrichment Journal from AORjournals.com, and I love this. I've got a couple of things filled in so far. Work has been crazy, so I filled in, excuse me, I filled in some of the binge watching that we've done. We did, in January, we watched Punisher, and then February, we watched Altered Carbon, both amazing. Then we're in the middle of The Gifted right now, so we'll look at that. And then there's some other things that I want to go in and fill in. I just haven't had the time. My coffee, my Death Wish, my Valhalla Java, and my Death Wish Classic. I get a subscription from them, which I love, because like I used my last amount of beans this morning when I went to grind, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going to be like a day without it because it gets delivered tomorrow. So I'm like, but you know, it is what it is. I will suffice with my Keurig because right now I grind my beans and then I use a Chemex. So for those of you who don't know what it is the perfect way to make a cup of coffee. That's what it is. But I actually mix my Valhalla Java and my Death Wish Classic to make the perfect blend. So it's half and half usually. So I think that's all I've got written in there right now so far. And then I have this particular folder is from Taroko Shop, and it's actually a B6 Slim, but you know, it's okay. This is bulletjournal.com actually had a self-care challenge from February, but again, life was crazy, so it goes through different things. Week 1 was personal care. Week 2, physical care. Week 3, psychological care. Week 4, emotional care. Week 5, environmental care. Week 6, social care. Week 7, professional care. And then week 8, reflection. And you're supposed to go in and journal about these different things. Like personal care was journaling as self-care, me time, special treats to myself, creating a list for yourself and others for when you're having a bad day, what's helpful, what's not, what your triggers are, self-care routines, barriers to self-care, and what are some of the factors that derail you from self-care. So I go through and I didn't want to just ditch that. So we all understand how, hectic challenges can be, especially in a short month and NaNoWriMo. So I still have everything in here, and so I'm just going to go through it at my own pace. I also went in and I found 20 helpful hints for morning mindful habits, then self-care for the mind, self-care ideas for the body, and then self-care ideas for the soul. And so what I'm doing is, and I'll show you that in my weeks, here, I pull out a couple of things in my weeks, like sitting quietly every day possible, moisturize, take a different route to work, do one thing just because it makes you happy, find 5 unexpected beautiful things on your commute. I pulled those from these lists, and I pulled one from each list. And so I want to, yes, we all need to take lists and figure out, our own self-care, but it's just prompts, really. People have prompts for a lot of different things, and I need prompts to remind me of self-care. So then I have the rest of this for notes and a lot of other things when I'm doing some research online and such, because I'm doing research for my blog on self-care. So hopefully that'll be going up sometime this month. And then this is just a card from Coco Daisy, the March kit. And then this was from Paper Penguin Co. When I got my order. And they're little penguins. I always have a Death Wish sticker somewhere in every one of my notebooks. No matter what, I always do. And then in this is my checkbook register for my personal account. I go through, and then in the back, in my financial trackers that I had in my pocket, my little pocket aubergine, I had a printable tracker that was for no spend. And so I just duplicated that, and I just wrote it out in the back of this because she adds some regular paper in the back. And so then I've got, I'm going through and paying off credit cards as well, and so that's what's in there. And you guys don't need to see my credit card balance. This is actually a blocker. So if I ever put any credit cards or anything like this, like that in this, I will just slide this out and put whatever I need to block. Like it's made actually for a passport. So, but it's got an RFID blocker in it. So I just keep that in there in case there's anything that I need to keep in there that needs to be blocked. Then my Chic Sparrow feather. And then these are also from the Coco Daisy, this March kit. I got the kit for the B6, but there's a lot of stuff. And so I don't go crazy and decorate everything. So I figure I can spread it out amongst all my TNs. This is, again, from Paper Penguin Co., and this is the Tomoe River paper notebook. This is the 160 page notebook, and I just use that for notes. It's so thin, and those of you who have experienced Hobonichi understand the draw to the Tomoe River paper. I love it. Then I've got book darts that I got with my Hobonichi order, and the other part of this is my business card, my office card. This is my dashboard, or my shitajiki. It's one of my trading cards that has been blown up, and it's got my business card on the back. But this was actually used in a display, and then they gave it to me after the TED Talk that I did. And so I love it, and it's very stiff. So I'm like, that's the perfect shiitake. And so especially for my Tomoe River paper. So I just put it in there and it works perfectly. And then this is my checkbook register for the house account. My husband and I, when we got married 20 years ago, we decided that he has his account, I have my account, and then we have a house account because he plays video games and I drop a shit ton of money on armor and weapons and traveler's notebooks. So that way we each put in a specific amount into our house account, and then I pay all the bills out of the house account. So that's what this is for. So yes, this is a big enough check register that I could probably do both, but it's just so much easier for me to keep it separate. And then I'm doing the 52-week challenge there. And so I got them in different colors so that I always know I'm the green and the house account's the white. So it works out great. I haven't put anything in the back of this one, but this is, again, the check registers are from Paper Penguin Co. Oh my gosh. But I love her inserts. Love her inserts. And then I've got some sticky notes in this, along with my page flags for my Mega, and then my Hobonichi stencils. So I put those in my little zipper, and I picked these up at my favorite little store, and I love them. So, and they're just, this portion of it is open, so I love that part of it. They're great flags and they match. So then we have my Hobonichi Weeks. I also have a Mambi. I attached a pen holder because each one of my TNs that I use actively has its own Lammy. So as long as they have a pen holder. So my little pockets don't, but they get a mini G2. But my Hobonichi, I've got my stickers and stuff like that in there. And again, I just keep track of the 52-week challenge. In my monthly view, you will see that I keep track of, and this is the one thing, and I've said this before, that gets duplicated is my steps per day and my active minutes per day. When I don't meet them, I mark it out. If I'm close, I'm keeping it. But in fact, I think on Sunday, I didn't realize I didn't put Sundays in. I was 128 minutes instead of 130 minutes. So I'm like, oh, killed me. But I'm like, no, we're going to count that. So, so I try to just put in my workouts. I still have my goals, even though what this particular Hobonichi does is focus on self-care. For a little while, I kind of got away from that. And as you can see, I'll go through this a little bit. Like in here, I just had some weekly goal tracking, and it's a lot that these are what I actually have written in my A5 Hobonichi Cousin of Beck. But, and then I had some extra things here, but I was duplicating it all. And so I was like, why am I doing this? I'm just making it harder on myself. So, you know, I did that for a good amount of, almost a year last year. And then this was December, and going through, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is making me crazy. Because a lot of times what I would do is just look at my A5 and just be like, oh yeah, I did that. So I'm like, no, I'm not getting any benefit of keeping this separate if I just duplicate efforts. So what I did is last week I went through and just put stuff that would focus more on self-care, things that I enjoy, my happiness, really. And like I put in here the Coffee Monsters Co. Anniversary sale and our discount code, and we had a dinner, and I'm like, just feel good things are going in here. That's it. I don't need to track all the things in here when I'm tracking all the things in my A5. So it's just different things that I want to do just for me. And I'm just trying to make sure I do it. So, you know, I had a thing back here, one girly thing. you know, and so I'm going to try to get back to that and add things. Last week was the first week I decided to do this a little differently, and then this week I added those from the list that's in here. So I want this to be a feel good. This is where I want to put the stuff that I feel like I'm spoiling myself. It's just the weeks to me is that anyway. And this was going to be my health and self-care tracker regardless. But it kind of got overwhelmed. I'm like, why am I writing all of this crap twice? So I'm just writing different things that I need to focus on. And with the Mega, you have all of these notes in the back and all of that kind of thing. Oh, and I do have my regular week's Shitajiki. This is the 2017 or the 2018. No, this was got 2017. 2018, I guess. Good Lord. Make that difficult. But this was the brown. The green was the year before, which I really loved. It was green and gold. But that's what I'm doing. And so I'm just changing it up a little bit, and I will be adding some other things. And if I treat myself, you know, I'm going to put that in here. Like buying PlannerCon tickets. I'm going to get one for the planner party that's here in Salt Lake City, in July. Yay. And then I'm buying my PlannerCon ticket for next year. I didn't go this year because it was last weekend, and I had a tournament this coming weekend, so I couldn't drive to Sacramento, San Diego, San Francisco, wherever it was. I couldn't drive to California 2 weekends in a row, so I had to make the choice. And next year, I will not have to make that choice. So I'm buying my damn ticket. So, and because I can't afford the $550 ticket to go wild yet. So, but you know, if I'm not buying armor and trips to Europe, you know, maybe I could. Who knows? So that's what I'm doing. And what in the earth did I put in here? I'm curious now. Oh, it's my anniversary. Our wedding anniversary, our 21st anniversary right there. So that's my update on my Hobonichi Weeks. And it goes and slides into the back there. And like I said, it is a chunky monkey, but I don't mind that. I like it. It just sits in my bag, in my handbag. And I mean, yes, it weighs a little bit, but I'm used to carrying 80 pounds of armor on my back. So, hey, you know, a pound for a book is not bad. So the only downside to this is if I can't fit it in my handbag. And so far, I've just made sure I've used my larger bags, which I've actually enjoyed. So, you know, it's not going in my tiny little Steve Madden's, but, you know, I only carry clutches on very rare occasions anyway. So there you have it. Let me know what you do to track your self-care. If you have self-care inserts or you've seen inserts that you love, would you link them down below? Because I would love to try them out. I am now that I have my TNs the way I like them, although I still want a Passport or an A6. Let me know what kind of inserts that you love, and if there's something out there that will help me track self-care, I would love to know about it. Or if you know of a good financial tracker, let me know. And what you do for self-care, because all of us should be taking better care of our own bodies, because it's the only one we're going to get. And like I said previously, when I found out that I was going to die, I mean, we're all going to die, but, you know, my doctor had told me that, you know, after 2 years, it was probably likely that I was going to die. I started celebrating. And even though I know it's the best thing for me, you know, I still have struggles with self-care. So how do you do it? What do you do? What is your favorite thing to do to take care of yourself, to give yourself a treat? I would love to know. I hope you guys have a glorious rest of the day, and I hope your week goes wonderfully well. Bless you all, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.